Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard and I go surfing Safari. That's right, it's time to look at extensions for Safari that you can use across all your different devices. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is iOS Today, episode 609, recorded Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Surfing the web with Safari extensions. This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Policy Genius. If someone relies on your financial support, whether it's a child, a parent, or even a business partner, you need life insurance. Head to policygenius.com/iOS to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. And by Hover. Whether you're a developer, photographer, or small business, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. Welcome back to iOS Today, the show where we cover all things iOS, tvOS, HomePodOS, watchOS, SidePadOS. I may have said that one already. Look, there are lots of different operating systems that Apple offers, and we cover all of them here on iOS Today. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard. Hi, Mikah.
Hello, Rosemary. How are you today?
Oh, I am excited because I love Safari extensions. There's some new ones out. There's some cool ones out. And I know we've talked about them before, but there's just so many new things. And I love the fact I've got the same things on all my devices, Mac, iPad, and iPhone. So it's just great.
Yeah, I love the updates that Apple made to Safari extensions over time that make them possible to be installed across different devices. It used to be a little bit more difficult. A developer would have to make an app that kind of had this little addition to it, like a backpack that the app was wearing, and that backpack was able to be dug out of by Safari on your iPhone, on your iPad. And Apple was like, you know what, we can improve upon things. We can make it so that all of these different extensions work across the different devices, particularly given Apple's own silicon and the way that kind of helps them be able to blanket things. But it does work on Intel devices as well. And with that comes a whole kind of new swath of extensions that can improve upon your Safari experience. And it was fun. Yeah, back on episode 570 and a little bit in 588, we covered the extensions kind of as they were kicking off in this new way of making them more available. But now things have settled down and developers are coming out with new extensions all the time. And we've had a chance to kick the tires on a few of them. So we thought we would kind of revisit that and talk about some new ones or ones that have stuck around in our Safari extensions as a way to kind of improve upon our browsing experience. So, Rosemary, tell us about one of the ones that you want to talk about today. I got to say, it has a really cool name.
It really does. So one of the apps I would love to talk about is Momentum. And honestly, this is an app that I saw in use as a Chrome extension at university and then a Firefox extension. And, it's been around on the internet for a while. And so Momentum's purpose is to give you a new Safari tab that's just Zen. So when you go to set it up, and I've installed it on my secondary iPad device, which is, of course, set up running iOS 15, not 16. So Mikah and the lovely folks in the studio don't kill me. Then, you've got this and you can sign in with your email. So if you want to or not, I will put my email address in there. This is a public email address. It's on my website, so I don't need to worry about people reading that. And then I can just, if I just possibly remove the spaces at the end. There are no spaces now. Thank you, Momentum. And then it would like me to choose a password. But now, theoretically, if I've done everything right, then when I set it up, then I should be able to have Momentum enabled, and then it should be opening new tabs automatically. Now, I believe I may have messed this up slightly earlier because I was given an option when I turned on Momentum for the first time. And you control the Safari extensions with this little sort of puzzle piece in your address bar. In the iPad, it's on the top right, and then the iPhone is on the bottom left. But when I went to set everything up, it asked me and it popped up and said, hey, do you want this? But I can just manage my extensions. I'll just turn Momentum off. Always a good tip if something's not working, right? Turn it off and turn it back on again. And so I'll go and manage extensions and turn this on. There we go. I need to say set as new tab page. And now, there we go. Now it's working perfectly. So this just means that every time I go to a new tab, I've got this lovely sort of Zen view. The images change. Once you've logged in and signed up, you can add quotes and other data like the weather and similar. It's just so lovely. It also has options to integrate with things like a task list and stuff like that. So if you want to be reminded of those all important things that you're supposed to be doing when you open a new tab, then you can do, so that maybe instead of going and finding out what the Pokemon Bulbasaur's history is, you actually go and do the task. That said, if you're watching iOS today, your job is to chill out, relax, and let us do the work for you. So why not install Momentum?
This is a really interesting idea. So what we have is this option to kind of forego the built-in tab management, window management that Safari provides, and instead put that in the hands of the third party, while you also get that fun little inspirational quote to kick things off. I like the idea. I kind of like the idea of a third party managing this because of the problems I've had in the past with the syncing of my tabs and windows between different devices. It works most of the time, but sometimes it's outdated. Sometimes it gives me trouble in trying to access that between the different. If I'm on my Mac and I go to my iPhone and I click on iCloud tabs, it's like, I haven't used that tab in 2 years. Why is it still there? So this is kind of nice as a way to sort of go past that. And then as I'm going through, they've got these different productivity options to help you, like with a to-do list. This is kind of a nice way to kick things off if you use your browser as kind of your main operating system. If you don't have a whole lot of apps on your Mac in particular, but if you do a lot of in-browser work, be it on the iPad, on the Mac, this is a great way to have all of that available to you in a nice looking place.
Yeah. And the other advantage, of course, of Momentum is that it goes across all your devices, and it does this via an outside sync. It's not using iCloud Sync to do that, which some people might consider a disadvantage, but it means that you can also have this installed on a work machine as well, and then have that same information show up everywhere, so that you've got, that lovely Zen feeling and all of your reminders, which can be very, very useful if you have to live with a Windows machine at work, or you choose to use a Windows or a Linux machine as well. So yeah, I'm glad that there's options out there that truly span the platforms.
Indeed. Also, it's telling me to stay magical, which is quite lovely. So
I mean,
I will
you are
definitely
magical
do my
in
best.
that purple.
I wore this for you. I
mean, I'm wearing green for you, so I feel like we've really kind of accidentally teamed up today on doing that. So there we go.
Best co-hosts. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one, I think, is something that will be familiar to many folks, but it is one that I am glad has an extension. It's called StartPage.ai, and it is for the folks who love browser tabs.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I don't know about you, Mikah, but I have a lot of open tabs in Safari, and I'll just pop open my iPad and I'll show people a little trick. So this is the standard start page in Safari. I've just disabled Momentum. But if you tap and hold on the 4 tab icons on the iPad, or it's the 2 overlaid squares on an iPhone, then you'll see the number of tabs that you have in Safari right now. Now, the only problem with that is that doesn't include any tabs in tab groups, and on iPadOS, that does not include extra Safari windows. So if you have, for example, Safari open in another window and I open 3 or 4 tabs over here, then when I do this tap and hold here, it's still closing. Like it'll still only show me the number of tabs in that window. And honestly, keeping on top of your tabs is kind of tricky, but StartPage is here to save the day. So I'll tap on my puzzle piece and manage my extensions. As you can see, momentum is turned off, and I will just turn on StartPage. And again, this is a new tab one, so I need to say yes, set as a new tab. And then if I tap done, then I should be able to, when I open a new page, have StartPage take over. Now, it needs to get some additional permissions from me. At the top here, it's saying StartPage.ai, additional permissions requested. And if I tap review, then it needs me to grant it access to basically every single web page. And that's because it's going to read all of the web pages and it needs access to that all of the time to be able to show me those tabs. But what I'm really loving about StartPage, Mikah, and this is just genius as far as I'm concerned. Okay, if I tap and hold on these 4 squares up here, it's telling me I have 7 tabs open. But if I look, 2 of them are the blank start page from Safari and 1 of them is StartPage. And so they're not really tabs. They don't actually have information in. And so StartPage has cleverly filtered that out and is just showing me 4 tabs, which are the ones that have actually got content in. And I really appreciate that feature. There's also the option to search and sort, and you can sort by newest or oldest. And there's a button for closing them all. I'm sure some of you will be panicking at the thought of closing all your tabs. If you are panicking, check out tab groups. It's a really great iOS feature. But I really like the fact that it's all there, and it's got a light and a dark mode as well, I should have mentioned. But it's just a good way to get an overview. And especially if you've got a bunch of tabs and you're like, oh God, I know it's open in one of my tabs. Like, which tab is it? Like, if I can just find this keyword, StartPage has got your back.
Nice. Yes. StartPage is a fantastic. I know a lot of people who use that one as their way of kind of surfing the web. One that I'll briefly mention. For some reason, I was thinking that was what it was called, but now that I think about it, it is definitely not called that. Is an app called, or an extension called, Keyword Search. And let me quickly get the link for that one. Keyword Search is basically so it was my co-host on Clockwise, Dan Morin, who introduced me to this one, and I remember being kind of angry that I did not know that this. I was just like, I've lost so much time not knowing about keyword search. And that is because what keyword search does is it gives you the ability to use the tab in the browser to be able to do searches in different search engines. So let me explain what I mean when I say that. It comes with some basic ones where you create a keyword. So, for example, let's say you search Amazon pretty regularly, and normally you would go either you would type in the top bar, I don't know, fun party hats, Amazon, and then it would show you some Amazon links via your Google search or whatever search engine you use. Or you would go, as I do, or did, to Amazon.com and then type in fun party hats. And of course, those would be for app caps for iOS today. What keyword search does is it lets you create a special keyword. So it could be Amazon if you wanted it to be. Mine is ;A. And what you do is in that top bar, you type in ;A, you hit the space bar, and then you type in your key search term, and it will actually take you then to Amazon, pop in the search that you're doing, and let you find it on that page. Now, the way that it works is you basically teach keyword search how the site uses URLs to query search results. So I have one set up for the AP style book, Apple's support documentation, which is very helpful for iOS today. I type in ;A support. So ;A and then the word support all together. And then I type in the term that I want, and it goes to Apple support index, uses that URL that it uses as part of its own querying, and then it can find it. There's one for the Wayback Machine, the archive.org machine, Down Detector, DuckDuckGo, eBay, GitHub, Google Images. There are lots of ones that are built in by default that you can add them. I think the Apple support was one that I added, and I've even got one for Twit. And it's super easy to add your to create new ones, because essentially you do a search, you look at the URL, and then wherever your search term was dropped in, you put 3 @ signs, at, and you can then specify how the search engine does multi-word terms. Do they do a little hyphen between the terms? Do they do a plus sign? Do they do an HTML encoded character? And that it has built-in support for all of that. So it's just going to save you a lot of time whenever you are doing regular searches. Another example would be like the App Store, if you were trying to find stuff in the App Store. So this one saves me so much time every week. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but it is available for free, which is just, I think, ridiculous that it's offered for free. It should cost money because it's just so smart and simple to set up. And goodness gracious, is it a great little utility to use. So that I think is so nice, how it can improve your browsing on any device and lets you access search engines of different sites that you might not be able to access otherwise. So that is keyword search on the App Store.
It's really good to know about, Mikah. I did not know that app, and I am going to have to use it. I use Alfred on my Mac for that sort of thing all the time, but of course I don't have a solution on iOS. So keyword search is going to save my bacon.
Yay, I'm happy to hear that. Although, in the same way, I'm sad that you didn't already know about it, because I want everybody. I just wish I could have already put this into people's minds so that they knew about it and could have saved some time already. Let me take a quick break, though, before we come back with more awesome Safari extensions to improve your browsing. I want to take a break to tell you about Policy Genius, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. In an unpredictable economy, life insurance can offer peace of mind that anyone who relies on you financially, a child, a parent, or even a business partner, will have a financial cushion if something happens to you. So here's the thing about life insurance. Life insurance can be the difference between, unfortunately, things are very expensive everywhere. Things are very expensive here in the United States. And I can remember when my great-grandpa passed away, his life insurance was the difference between having a full funeral and a casket and all of that stuff that he wanted to be able to have as per his will. His life insurance was the difference between being able to honor that and not being able to honor that. Life insurance can be the difference between the family members that you leave behind being able to take care of everything that needs to be taken care of, and also being set for a period of time after you go. For me, life insurance for me, obviously, if I'm thinking about it in the short term, if something were, God forbid, to happen to me, life insurance is there to make sure that my partner isn't stuck with an expensive living facility, and that my dogs are taken care of. All sorts of people have life insurance for all sorts of reasons, and it's incredibly important that you have it. Having life insurance through your job may not be enough. Most people need up to 10 times more coverage to properly provide for their families. Typically, life insurance gets more expensive as you age, so it's smart to get a policy sooner rather than later. Here is how Policy Genius works. Number one, Policy Genius is an insurance comparison website that makes it easy to compare quotes from top companies like AIG and Prudential in one place to find your lowest price. Two, you could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. Three, you just head to policygenius.com/iOS to get personalized quotes in minutes and find the right policy for your needs. And those licensed agents at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies. They're there for you. They're on hand through the entire process to help you understand your options so you can make decisions with confidence. And here's the thing, Policy Genius doesn't add on extra fees or sell your info to third parties. There are thousands of 5-star reviews across Google and Trustpilot. They've got options that offer coverage in as little as a week and avoid unnecessary medical exams. And since 2014, Policy Genius has helped more than 30 million people shop for insurance and placed over $150 billion in coverage. And by the way, while you're there, Policy Genius has home, auto, disability, renters, and more. So lots of other insurance options you can check out. Head to policygenius.com/iOS. Please use that URL. I know you can do that search we talked about, but policygenius.com/iOS is a great way to let them know that you heard it here on the show, to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. Policygenius.com/iOS. And thank you so much to Policy Genius for sponsoring this episode of iOS Today. All right. This next extension is awesome because it is a hack among hacks. It is a cheat code among cheat codes, and it is one of my favorite extensions available for download.
Yeah. So the next two extensions, really, Mikah, I'm being sneaky. It's called the Fizzy water bundle. As a side note, if you buy them as a pair, which I just love. So it's a pair of apps, one called Vinegar and one called Baking Soda. And the idea behind Vinegar and Baking Soda is they take all of those video players that are out there on the internet and they make them into lovely native iOS or Mac OS players. So you don't have to deal with the fact that this player, if I hit the space key, will pause or play. But then if I use the arrow keys to scroll up and down, it's actually going to start playing again. No, we don't want that. And so I'll just show everyone how it works. And there happens to be a really great example right here on the Twit website, because of course, all of our shows are available as video and audio. And so we have the video embedded into the into the episode page for every episode. So there's this great shot of Mikah from last week looking slightly suspicious, which I love. But there's a couple of quirks with the player that's here. And I should point out, this is nothing to do with Twit specifically. If any company who uses this same solution will have the same problem. And it did it where I did this just now, so I don't know if it'll do it again. There we go. So if I try and use that pinch to zoom gesture, like it's not working. I have to tap on the button to make it full screen and things like that. Mm-hmm. And only when I've tapped on the button to make it full screen do I get picture in picture and things like that. And we don't want that. So if I go to my extensions in Safari, which is a little puzzle piece, you could see, by the way, it's filled in. That means that there's an extension active on this page, which for me is 1Password and Secret Agent, which we'll get to in a moment. But I'll just manage my extensions and I'll turn on Vinegar. I'll turn on Baking Soda. They both sort of do the same thing. And I just refresh the page. Okay, and now when I refresh the page, I think I might have moved to the wrong page. No, I'm on the right page. Then I can see this looks a little bit different. It's got the caption over the top. And when I tap on the start playing, it looks the same briefly. I'll just pause that because otherwise Mikah's very, very loud in my ears. But this is the native iOS player. So if I do that same pinch to zoom gesture, that's just taken Mikah full screen. But yes, so you get all of the goodies from being able to, play this and control it. And it takes over every player. So they all work the same way. Whatever keyboard shortcuts you might be used to, whatever AirPlay devices that you want, it will accept those and it will respond to those. You've got the 3 dots in the bottom right to control your feedback speed. You've got the fast forwarding forwards and backwards by 15 seconds. And there's the standard mute button. It also lets you jump straight to picture-in-picture, including on iPhone, which is not something that a lot of places support on the iPhone because they think it's too small. What could you possibly want to do picture-in-picture with? And it's like, well, actually, no, the instructions are in the video and they're only in the video. So I need to picture-in-picture the video while I open the app and follow the instructions. Thank you very much. So yes, so it's a very useful duo of extensions. They're $1.99 each. And unfortunately, I can't see the price for the two of them because I've already purchased it, but I believe it was slightly cheaper to purchase the bundle together. I think it was $2.49 instead of $4 or something, or it was $3.99. It was a little bit cheaper, but they're very, very cheap apps and they're very good. They do exactly what it says on the tin in that they just help clean up Safari. Vinegar and baking soda make water with a little bit of fizz. So get some fizzy water in your Safari and clean up that video.
I So I knew about Vinegar for cleaning up YouTube, but baking soda was new to me. Now I've got both of them installed, and I am very, very, very happy to have both of these available to me so that I can keep all of the web's videos that same way. Because yes, there are always like little things that I want to be able to do with the video that I'm used to, and I can't because they've got some custom player or some things set up that makes it impossible to be able to just do. I love just everything's the same. I know how it works. I can use it all the same way. That is how I want it to work. So there's the Fizzy water bundle. Can we zoom in? Does that say $2.99 for us in the United States? Yeah, the app bundle is $2.99. If you buy them separately in the US, it's $3.98. So you do save some money there. Although I had already purchased the one, and the cool thing is that Apple will dynamically adjust the bundles if you want to, but this developer, I think, however much each of those was individually, I think that I don't mind $1.99 each to the developer.
Yeah. It's always great when developers just make a great tool that makes our lives easier, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you. Those are great little extensions. All right. And then let's round things out with two final extensions worth covering. I will mention one during my app cap, but that will be saved for then. So there's a preview of one. But tell us about the final two you have in your list.
Well, the final two I've got are all about getting stuff off our screen that we don't want. And I'm sure a bunch of you have been to websites before and been faced with something like this. Or worse still, you start reading and then you scroll like just a little bit and it comes up with these cookie notices. And oh my God, is that annoying? Well, Super Agent for Safari is designed to help solve that because it's a super agent. It's got a cape, even though The Incredibles says don't go with capes. It's dangerous. But, this one's okay. This one's safe. There are no jet engines that we need to worry about. So in the Super Agent app, you can log in or sign up and sync your Super Agent preferences between devices. Or you can just configure your settings for your device. So you can preemptively say, hey, I would like to reject advertising cookies. I will accept functional cookies because they are actually useful. And I am also going to accept performance cookies because that helps websites monitor the functionality of their web pages. And when web pages are really, really slow, well, the developers can only fix that if they find out that it's slow. And if you say no to performance cookies, then they probably aren't going to find that out. So as a web developer myself, I'll let them do that. So that's my cookie preferences. That's all set up now. And then when I go back to Safari and I reload this page, I've already enabled Super Agent. It's going to take a moment. I've disabled ad blocking across my network at home. Oop, it should have done that. I might just need to disable it and re-enable it. A moment. Sometimes Safari on iOS can be a little bit quirky when I am trying to demo something. Interesting. Either way, it worked when I did this before the show. I was going to say, and obviously my reset to get it back to the starting point did something to make it not work now. But it works on all of my other devices, I assure you. So it will just get rid of those cookie banners and things like that. It's a free app to download, and the account and syncing is free as well if you want to use that. But there's no obligation to. You can just configure this on different devices. And again, it's macOS, iOS, and iPadOS. It's on all the iOSs. Well, okay, it's not on HomePod OS, it's not on tvOS, but good luck browsing with Safari on any of those. It's also available for Firefox and Chrome, as well as Microsoft Edge, and even Opera, or will be available in Opera. It's not available in Opera just yet, but if you're using Opera,
you should
be all right.
Yeah.
I
was going to say, I have seen that app work miracle, or that extension work miracles in the past. I know it works. So yeah, there was just a quirk there. And also some sites will do everything in their power they can to learn the latest ways that folks are circumventing things that they don't want to see and figure out ways around those. So I wouldn't be surprised if that future-owned property, imore.com, has figured out a way to circumvent some of those things, because I've seen the site do that in the past.
All right.
Tell us about the last one.
Yeah. Well, again, this is going back to apps or websites thinking that they know better about what we want than we do. And I'm sure you've seen something like this before. And when I say something like this, I'm referring to a banner in Safari saying a name of app by app developer, X number of stars, get on the App Store or buy on the App Store with a view button and a close button. And I can close it, but it's probably going to come back the next time I come to the page because of, oh yeah, those darn cookie preferences. So instead, what we can do is we can install a great little app called Unsmartifier. And this is an extension for Safari. And its entire purpose in life is to get rid of those links. So I'll just refresh the page and that banner's gone. And that's it. I'm not going to see these again. I don't have to deal with this again. This is extremely useful for services who are like, hey, we've got an app. Do you want to go use the app? And guess what? Their app sucks. They're missing most of the features, or it doesn't actually exist on this platform, Instagram. Thanks. So, I have to, use the website, or I want to use the website because I don't want to install the app because it'll take 45 minutes to download or whatever it is. So Unsmartifier is free on the App Store. It's a little tiny extension and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It removes those smart links. There is a tiny bonus in it in that if you tap on the Unsmartifier extension, in that puzzle piece. And so I've done it now, so it'll show me, but I'll just do it again. So I'll tap the puzzle piece, tap Unsmartify. It'll tell me how many smart banners it's removed. Now, obviously, I frequently wipe this iPad and I've set it up again for today's episode. So it's only removed that one for today, but it removes a lot of them for me. And I'm really pleased that this app exists.
Nice. All right, folks. With that, it is time to move into the news segment. We've got some stories to cover here. So let us talk first about an interesting story that that came out first. That in iOS 16, the next version of iOS, Apple was going to stop using iPads as what are called home hubs. And so it starts with an explanation. In HomeKit, you are able to, I'm going to give a basic kind of intro here. So HomeKit is Apple's sort of method to connect to and control different devices, smart home devices in your home. So those lights that are behind me, for example, are all tied to Apple's HomeKit. What that allows me to do is open up an app on my iPhone or my Mac or any of the devices that I have, an app called Home, and tap to turn on and off or change the color of or change the brightness of, all sorts of kind of fun things that I can do to control those different products that I have. It also lets me talk to Siri to have Siri control those different products. And so HomeKit is kind of the network that weaves all of those things together and allows you to send out those communications. It's also how developers who are making apps can also communicate with those different products that you have in your home. And what Apple realized was that what people wanted was not only the ability to, while they're at home, use their phones to be able to turn on and off the lights, but while they're outside of their home, be able to turn on and off the lights or open the garage door or check in on their home via their cameras. And typically the way that this would happen with other, well, not even typically, the way that this happens with other devices is, for example, Philips Hue. You have a bridge that's connected to your router, and then that bridge is connected to Philips Hue's servers. And so you can log in on your in an app and have that connection take place where you want the lights to turn off. So you send basically a message to Philips Hue's servers. They send a message to your bridge that's on your router, and then it can tell the stuff in your home to turn on and off. Apple wanted a way for somewhat of a more direct connection. And so they looked to iPads and Apple TVs at first as the way to be able to connect to your home network while you're outside of the home. So your iPads that you left at home, those stationary iPads, were there, and your Apple TVs were there, always plugged in that case, to be able to communicate with the stuff in your home. It also gave you the ability to schedule different things to happen. Those are called automations. So automations based on location and time and who's home and who's not. All of those were because of your home hubs, these devices that you had at home that connected to HomeKit and allowed you to be able to access those on the network. Then Apple came out with the HomePod and said, hey, look, the HomePod is also able to be used as a home hub. And then the HomePod Mini came out and it was able to be used as a home hub. Well, what was interesting is that in my long history of covering HomeKit, a lot of people weren't aware of the ability to use an iPad that stays at home as a home hub. And over time, it kind of got kicked to the background. I would notice at WWDCs past the time when it was announced that Apple didn't so much talk about the iPad as a home hub. It was all about the HomePod Mini, the HomePod, and the Apple TV. And so I was kind of curious about why that happened. And not too long ago, the support documentation also removed references to the iPad as the home hub. And this is a choice that Apple is making to allow you to continue to use an iPad as a home hub, but in doing so, you will be stuck in the past. And what that means is Apple has updated its framework, the HomeKit framework, to run a lot faster, run a lot smoother, be a lot better. And it's only doing that with the HomePod Mini, and the Apple TV right now. It is not going to update that with the iPad. So if you have iPads that you are currently using as a home hub, when iOS 16 comes out sometime this fall, and all of the different versions roll out, you're probably going to want to turn off your iPads as home hubs, because if you don't, you will not get the new framework, the new methodology, the faster connections, particularly for homes that have a lot of devices. So I, as a current user of the betas of these different softwares, have gone ahead and turned off all of my iPads as home hubs, so that it's just my HomePod Mini, my HomePod, and my Apple TVs that I have that are going to work as my sort of HomeKit connection, because I want to be able to use the new architecture. So kind of an involved story, but I think folks should be aware of that. If all you have at home is an iPad, then keep using it. But if you have other ones, then use those instead.
Yeah. I should mention that you explicitly had to go and turn on in the settings the ability to use the iPad as a home hub. It's not that any iPad that you own that just stays at home is going to be used as a home hub. You had to very explicitly go and turn it on. And frequently, if you have had problems with HomeKit and say, for example, automations didn't trigger, or things were just really, really slow and things like that, there's usually two root causes. One of them is your network, in that if things can't talk to each other, then there's going to be a problem. And it's surprising how bad a lot of people's home networks are, and they have no idea. And the other one is your HomeKit hub. Your HomeKit hub, by the way, very separate to something like a Hue hub, which the Hue hub is what gets the Hue lights into HomeKit, but the Apple Home Hub is then what shares it with everything else and makes all of those automations work, whether you're using the Hue stuff, the Akara stuff, the Nanoleaf, whatever it is that, kind of bridges that gap to tie everything together. But your Home Hub could be very old, such as the fourth generation iPad, which was supported, or it could just be struggling to connect to the network. So I'm quite glad, to be honest, that Apple aren't completely dropping it. But if anybody is listening and either they have an iPad as a home hub and it is their home hub, or if they've got lots of home hubs and they've enabled their iPads as well, go, if you're in that scenario, disable your iPads, please. Your HomeKit experience will significantly improve in that situation. But if you know people who are using their iPad as a home hub, then and they don't have anything else, then maybe put on a group Christmas shopping list the idea of getting them a HomePod Mini or something, because that will allow them to get the newer, better stuff in the future. And one of the reasons I should note for this going away, this feature originally was just going to disappear entirely, and it won't now, is because iPads can't support Thread. the new Bluetooth
Right.
technology, which massively improves the performance of, say, for example, Mikah's Wemo Switch, which now it's on Thread. He loves. When it was just Bluetooth, he hated. The iPad doesn't have a Thread radio. It's got Bluetooth, but Bluetooth isn't quite Thread. It can't do things like that, and it just doesn't make sense. Especially because, quite frankly, the number of people that forget to plug their iPad in and then wonder why things don't work is fairly high, I think. So it's good to see that it's not going away entirely, but I'm also going to suggest that if you're using an iPad as your primary home hub, keep an eye out for a sale on those HomePod minis.
Absolutely. All right. Now there's a news story, 9to5Mac, talking about Apple looking to spotlight some different developers maybe than usually get spotlighted. Some smaller European developers that Apple wants to cover. So tell us about this new Founders campaign.
Yeah, so Apple have essentially launched a new campaign to support European developers in the App Store called Founders. And the entire focus is on spotlighting smaller developers and their apps through the editorials, which appear in the App Store. So I'm sure you have all, opened the App Store at least a couple of times over the last few years and noticed that new Today tab right at the front, which then spotlights various different things when it eventually loads on my iPad, and has, they feature certain apps and so on. But then as you scroll down, they've got behind the app where they're talking to the developer of this app and more things like that, and this is really nice, but it's been very heavily US centric. I'm not blaming the Apple editorial team. I've heard from many folks that the team is much smaller than you would think. So you can't possibly blame them for talking to the people who are online during their working hours. They're predominantly based in the US, but Apple's media relations is actually divided up by continent. So if you're in the UK, then you'll have different people inviting you to Apple keynotes as you compared to those folks who are in the US. So I'm glad that they are utilizing that to spotlight these developers. I know many developers who are just one person and they make great apps and they're based here in Europe. And I'm really glad that there is going to be a much higher chance that they're going to get spotlighted on the App Store. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is great. It's always nice to be able to say, hey, this person made a really cool thing. I'm going to buy their $1.99 app instead of I'll take that free app from this huge conglomerate that's going to try and mine all my data and sell it to make money. So yeah, it's nice that we get that. And of course, don't forget, Europe's got great privacy laws, so you don't need to worry about your data.
Then there's an interesting story originally from Mac Rumors that iMore picked up, and it is one of those perplexing stories where you go, I wonder what they were thinking. Apple, of course, recently started selling some chargers, some new types of USB-C chargers in its store that cost. There's one that costs $59, and it charges two devices at the same time. It's a 35-watt charger, and you can plug two devices into it, and it kind of smartly charges both of them. And now Apple has in the same store for $59.95, so 95 cents more, a charger that offers double the power that the one from Apple provides. So Belkin's new charger actually doubles the output that you can get from Apple's own, and only costs 95 cents more. Rosemary, tell me your thoughts on this. Why would someone then go for the Apple one over the Belkin one that has more power?
Well, that is a very good question. And the only thing that I can think of, which I did research before and I'm not quite remembering now, is the if the Apple charger is smaller, so the Apple charger is very clearly intended for, say, an iPad and an iPhone, maybe not the 12.9 inch, but certainly all the others, or your iPhone and your Apple Watch as your portable charger to like take with you, perhaps even used with, say, a MagSafe Duo. Fun fact, by the way, if I search for dual charger on the Apple Store, and I'm searching on the US Apple Store to be very clear, the results that I get are two Mophie chargers, a Satechi charger, which plugs into like an iPad or a Mac for your Apple Watch, a Baselinks modular system, cool, and the Belkin one. The Apple one doesn't come up at all. This is ridiculous. They really need to improve their SEO internally on their website. But it doesn't make sense to me at all that they would do this. I mean, I guess some people might not trust Belkin, but Belkin have been around for donkey's years. I can't personally think of a reason why I would buy the Apple one. I'm also not sure I can think of a reason why I would buy the Belkin one, because Anker and some other companies make great nano chargers, which are tiny, and they've got multiple ports on. I've got a 65-watt charger from Anker. Unfortunately, it's not here at my desk. Otherwise, I'd show it to people. It's the size of like the original iPad brick. Like that's the size of it, and it's a 65-watt charger. It's only got one port on it, but yeah, it's a great charger. So if you're looking for chargers, by all means, pick one up in the Apple Store. If your relatives are worried that they're going to burn the house down, sure, tell them that whatever they buy in the App Store is going to be safe. But if you're looking for yourself, certainly pop on Amazon, take a look at Anker, Ugreen, etc. I can't think of a good reason to explicitly get the very rarely on sale Apple stuff directly from Apple.
Agreed wholeheartedly. The only thing I can think of, and this, I remember Renee Ritchie talking about this, is that Apple's charger, dual charger, is very smart. And so when you plug in different devices, depending on what kind of device it is and how much draw it has, it will intelligently deliver power to them in a way that some of the third-party chargers don't. But there are a lot of third-party chargers that also offer that smart charging.
Yeah.
So yeah,
honestly, yeah. The one thing I want to say is if you've got a charger and it doesn't support properly charging your device, if it's a USB-C charger, it doesn't actually support correctly delivering the right amount of power to your device, that means that it's not within USB-C specifications. And you should return that thing ASAP, because it quite possibly will set your house on fire. Because the whole point of the USB-C specification is that power negotiation is built into it. The brick is supposed to ask the cable to ask the device, what do you need? And then provide that appropriately. If they don't do that, then they're not within spec.
There you go. And then let's round things out here with some Prime Day deals, including some refurbs of Sonos. What's going on there?
Yeah. So The Verge reported on this, and we're a little bit late because it was a 4th of July official sale. But as Prime Day is coming up, you're going to find sales going on all over the shop, whatever the shop is. And Sonos have put their refurb stuff on sale. And I have to say, having previously purchased refurb items from Sonos, they are just like Apple ones. They come like new, only the box is plain, and they're great. I really like my Sonos Roam, and it works really well with AirPlay, and it's a great travel speaker for my iPhone too. So yeah, take a look and see what deals you can get at the moment. We're in a good time of year, right between 4th of July and Prime Day coming up. So a lot of places are doing sales, and you might be able to get, say a new soundbar for your television with AirPlay support, or HomePod Mini, something like that, on sale from either, Sonos or Apple or Amazon, of course, with Prime Day yourself. And the other thing is, don't forget, it's back to school time with the Apple Store pretty much now or soon. So if you've got a student and they need a new device, or they're looking at upgrading their laptop, then maybe make a deal with them to get some AirPods cheaper.
Yes, or an iPad, because there are also some iPad deals coming up where you can save money on Amazon for iPads. Apple and Amazon came to terms a while back, and Amazon does sell iPads on its site again, and there are some deals for getting couple of bucks off of the asking price, between like $20 and $50 off, depending on which iPad Pro, or excuse me, which iPad you're after. So yeah, some deals can be had there if you're looking to purchase an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let us take a quick break before we come back with Shortcuts Corner. I want to tell you about, goodness gracious, one of my favorite sites and one of my favorite sponsors. It's Hover, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. It's time to make plans and let Hover help you achieve them. If you're a blogger or creating a portfolio, you're building an online store, or you just want to make a more memorable redirect to your LinkedIn page, or if you're like me and you're a podcaster and like to buy domains while you're doing podcasts, to little inside jokes that were made during the show, well, Hover has the best domain names and email addresses just for you. In fact, just the other day, I was on a podcast with a friend of mine who is a game master or a dungeon master, depending on what game you're playing. And I play Dungeons and Dragons online with him and others for the Incomparables Total Party Kill podcast. And he is a fantastic DM. And we were doing a fun little bit where he had some little minifigures from the Dungeons and Dragons campaigns that he was opening. And he has a coffee page. It's that site where you can, sort of tip people, give people a few bucks. And the whole idea is like you're buying them a coffee. And the coffee URL was kind of long and complicated. And so I wanted to simplify it. And so we're on the podcast, we're talking, we're chatting, videos going and everything. And he goes to give his little URL. And I was like, or you can go to givetonymoney.fun, givetonymoney.fun. And he's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? What? And basically during that conversation, I had gone onto Hover, I had typed in givetonymoney.fun, and that URL was available, that domain was available, and I was able to make the purchase using Apple Pay very quickly, very easily, and have that domain along with the dozens of other domains that I own. And that's because Hover makes it so simple to do. And it's also a no-brainer because of how they care about your privacy. They're just there for domain and email. It's not a site that's trying to make money off of you in a bunch of different ways. Email, by the way, at your domain name is key. If you're out there and you're trying to connect with customers or you're trying to build trust for your brand, you don't want to say, I'm eatyourpeas@yahoo.com. No, you want to have first name, last name at your own website, or in my case, me@mikah.co. They have domain-based emails for all your needs, small or large. They're super easy to set up. You can add as many mailboxes to your domain as you need. And when your domain renews, well, your mailboxes will automatically do that as well. Prices are unbeatable. Their most popular mailbox is a no-brainer solution, for business owners. You can get access from anywhere. So you can use the email app that you already use. That's what I do. Or if you want to, you can use their online webmail to be able to get to your email. I can't say enough about Hover, but like one of the things again that I love is that they do offer Apple Pay. For me, that's a big thing because it makes it very simple for me to, when I do want to buy a domain, sometimes it's not a jokey domain. It's a domain that I want. Another example, my niece was born 2 years ago. And at that point, I bought her first and middle name.com so that later on, if she wants to use that for something, she's able to do so. And it was a very simple purchase to make. And I, keep that domain going. And Hover makes it so simple to renew domains if you want them to. If there are domains that you don't need anymore, don't want anymore, you can get rid of those very easily. And so it's all just like it's front of mind, super simple, right there, super easy to make changes. And they also have deals all the time, which is awesome. And also kind of troublesome because I will just go in and say, oh yeah, I could use this domain. Oh, I'd love to have this one. It's great. They also have pro level tools. So you get powerful domain and email management. That means that, you're not just, whether you're a web pro, you're just getting started, like all of that stuff's going to be available to you. You're not sort of cutting back by going with Hover. In fact, you have so much control over what you want to do with your domains. It's private and secure. That WHOIS privacy protection is included. That way you're your full address and all the stuff that you have to give as part of the process is not out there for the world to get to. And they're not upselling you on that, which is really nice. And with Hover Connect, you can buy a domain and very easily get it set up with the site or service that you want to use with it. So if you just want kind of your Tumblr blog to have a custom domain, it's very easy to do that. Or you're setting up a portfolio, your About Me page, for example, then Hover Connect lets you fill out those steps, make those changes very simply and quickly, as opposed to having to like bounce back and forth between the sites and figure everything out. They lay it all out there for you. And again, you are a customer, not a source of data. So that way you get both domains that have that WHOIS privacy protection included, but also tracker-free, reliable email. It's trusted by hundreds of thousands of customers, myself included, who use their domain names and emails all the time to turn their ideas into reality. So again, whether you're a developer, you're a photographer, or you're a small business, or a podcaster, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. I think everybody should have a domain. I honestly do. Everyone should make a domain purchase at some point in their life. It feels nice. It feels good. It's like, I have that and I can do something with it. And there are a few domains that I have not done something with yet, but get yourself a domain, hover.com/twit, to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. That's hover.com/twit for 10% off your domain extension for a full year. And of course, we thank Hover for their support. All right, back to the show, and it's time for Shortcuts Corner. This is the part of the show where you write in with your shortcuts requests, and Rosemary Orchard, the shortcuts expert, provides a response. The first bit of Shortcuts Corner comes from, and I'm going to pronounce this probably incorrectly, but Supratim. And Supratim writes in, "Hi, Mikah and Rosemary, adore your show. I am a new viewer or listener of your show, and it is exactly what I needed being a new member in the Apple ecosystem. Welcome, Supratim. I am happy to have you here. Every episode, I eagerly wait for the Shortcuts Corner and app pick segments. I am a software professional at work and have been having fun with shortcuts lately. I have observed a few things and wanted to have your view on these. Maybe I am not aware of stuff and hoping you can help." So Supratim has provided a couple of questions, and we will start with the first one. There is no way to delete a personal automation. I can only disable them. I have a few just lying there. They're disabled, but they're cluttering my view. Is this true, Rosemary? Can you not delete personal automations once you've created them?
Well, it's almost true. Supratim is right. There is no delete button. And as they've currently found, you can, if you tap on an automation, toggle off, enable this automation. But there's another feature that I think is so undiscoverable, but it's there in a lot of apps. And if you just swipe on a personal automation, then you can delete it. Then it comes up with a delete button. It's the same as swipe in mail. People find it by accident rather than finding it on purpose, but it absolutely is something that you can do. And, you can just swipe and then delete and it will disappear. It will take a moment to disappear after you've tapped that delete button. The good news, you can get rid of those pesky automations that you don't want anymore. So don't worry about that.
Love that. Love that. Glad. I thought that's what you could do. And so I'm glad to hear that I was correct. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've deleted. Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Then the next one from Supratim. I have a few recurring events in my reminder app, which I check every day, and wanted to run some shortcut every day at noon with automation based on whether it was checked today or not. But when I get the reminder details from shortcuts, it only gives me the first checked date and not the latest checked date. And then Supratim put in a shruggy emoticon and is letting us know that the way that they put in that shruggy emoticon is by using the text replacement feature of iOS. So Supratim, this makes me so happy to know that you're getting so much from this show. But Rosemary, what are your thoughts on these reminder suggestions? Is there a way to see if they've been checked?
Yeah, so this is a little bit tricky because, first of all, it's a bit tricky for me to test because I have something that's automatically eating all of my reminders every 15 minutes. So the one that I set up about 15 minutes ago, it just disappeared on me. And I really need to fix that after the show. But there is a couple of things to be aware of with reminders, specifically repeating reminders. So first of all, if you're not sure, folks, obviously Supratim is that you can create a repeating reminder by turning on the date and or time, and then the repeat field appears. And so I'll just set this to daily. And then if I tap this and set it to completed, I'll just move out and set it to done a few more times. Then that's it. It's gone. And if it's done, and then I can turn on show completed, and you'll see that I've got a couple of other reminders in here, but I don't have my example repeating reminder. It's not appeared multiple times, which is a bit of a shame because that was my first thought, that why don't we just get the last one that was completed? And that's not something you can do. But I think there is something that we can do, which may solve this problem. I'm going to hope that it does. And I'm going to hope that Supratim doesn't usually edit their reminders while they're or between things while they're not doing it. And so there is a feature in or there's a property on every reminder, which is the last modified date. And if we look at the last modified date, I believe that will show when it was last modified. And so I'll just leave it at the moment. I've been speaking for just over a minute, so this should show me the last time that this was completed. And I'll just get the completion date. And it's even not showing me that. Has something eaten my reminder again? It has not. And I'll maybe just get rid of that because it is not complete. Sorry, this is what happens when your iPad's at a very slightly awkward angle and you're holding your arm mid-air. There's a reason why Steve Jobs didn't want people to have touchscrh Macs. I'm still not sure he was right, but right now that arm pain that I can feel that I usually get about halfway through my ballet class, where I've been doing the arm movements all the time, is certainly appearing. So let's just run this to get everything from reminders, and then I will get the completion date. Cool. And I'll just throw in, this is quite useful for debugging. If I'm not quite sure what the thing is that I need, then I can just add a choose from list. And tell you what, I will sort by last modified date. And then I'll just limit that to say 5 because that should have those first, and I will have the newest modified ones first, and that should help me just find the one that I need. And I've just realized, well, there we go. Now it is showing me all of these, which is what I wanted earlier, and it wasn't going to do that earlier. So I can see that this has shown up several times now, which is exactly what I wanted, so that I could get the last completed one for you. So if we do look specifically then for those completed reminders, then you should be able to get that completion date from it. The problem is if you're looking for the incomplete reminders, then you may struggle. But the last modified date is a property. Gosh, something's gone very, very wrong on my iOS device here. If it's suddenly adding about 6 of those. But if you get the last modified date, that should, unless you make a different change, be the last date that you've completed it when I did this earlier. So I'll just remove that action there and see if I can get rid of some of, oh no, everything's got a bit stuck there. But if you check the last modified date, that should have everything that you need for that one, Supratim. So give that a go. It sounds a bit weird using an alternative property to the completed date. You'd think the completed date would be what you want. But no, it's last modified because it was last changed when you check it off, because that's when it set the next due date.
All right. Then we have one more. Is there an app that can let me show the latest runs of shortcuts or automations? It's like, I want to run shortcuts without asking, but I also want to know what ran and if there were any failures. Yes. So basically a way to view a log of my shortcuts actions. I think this is a really good one because it can be helpful in troubleshooting.
Yes, it can. And it's something where you're probably going to want to be a little bit judicious about how precisely you set this up and run it. But there is a great app on iOS called Logger for Shortcuts. And Logger for Shortcuts, I'll open it on my iPad, and you'll see, or I'll try and open it on my iPad if I press the right button. Then you'll see it doesn't have anything in it right now. And in fact, it's a very sparse looking app, but its whole point or its whole aim is to attempt to be a console and log of whatever you've done if you use the log action shortcut. So as you'll see there, if you're watching the video version, then there are a number of different entries that you can, or actions that you can take. So there you can use specifically logging a message, which will allow you to, log a message. You can turn on and off starting and stopping logging. And you can clear the logs as well, which is quite useful. And you can also even delete specific tags. So one of the things that I would do, especially if you've got a complicated shortcut that's taking a while and you want to just output logs in lots and lots of places so that you can see whether or not things are working, is when you log a message, tag it, and then you can remove everything else whenever you go to log, so that you have that, so that you don't have all of the output, you've just got the last output, right? So, for example, if I log, and you can also set what kind of log. Is it an info log, an error log, success, or warning? I should note, if your shortcut crashes before it gets to the logger action, it's not going to log. That's not something that you can do. It can't try and catch or anything like that. If a shortcut fails in some way that you have not anticipated, then it will just crash, and nothing further will happen until the next time you or the system tries to run it. So for that purpose, what I would do then is I would log an info message at the start of every shortcut, which is something like, I don't know, starting shortcut, and then whatever the name of your shortcut is over here. So I'll just pop that in. And here's where you could add the tag, and then you can just say maybe, again, you could create one with shortcut name or something else. And because it's going to pop up and ask you for this, if you don't have any tags set up yet, you'll probably want to pop back over to Logger, make sure, and then there's the tag option where you can then manage your tags, and you can add new tags and set colors on them and things like that, so that you can have startup tags or maybe a tag per shortcut or kind of shortcut, whatever it is. And you can also pass information into here. So I can add more messages. I can add as many bits of information as I like. And then I can just, add something. So I could add my shortcut input to this, for example. And then I can say, they should log an error message if it's empty, because that will then help with debugging things. So your logger messages will need to come before the bit that's going to break for debug, or could break, and then at the end to let you know whether or not it's done it. But it's a great app that's available on iOS and does everything you need, I hope.
Awesome. That I have to download that one. Didn't know that it was there. All right. Next, we have our feedback segment, the part of the show where we answer feedback. So this first part is from Supratim as well, last one. It says, the smart list in iOS or in Mac only has and logic when it comes to tags, not or logic. I cannot create a smart list in Notes or in the Reminders app selecting multiple tags. Again, these are observations that Supratim has made in trying to create different things. And this is an observation of kind of a limitation. Any thoughts on this one, Rosemary?
My personal thought is this is the perfect use case for shortcuts, of course, because you can use that find reminders action, and you can have multiple find reminders actions. So you can nest them after each other, because reminders has the same kind of limitation inside of it. So I'll just pop into this, and it works with find calendar events but it works with the find notes or reminders. Where did reminders go? There it is, find reminders right at the top. So I can find all reminders, and I can add a filter and say, for example, where I don't know, the it's not completed, and it's due today. If I set that up, then deadline hopefully is today. There it is. Perfect. And then if I say, and I want it to be in any of these lists, then what I need to do after this action is I'll need to add another find reminders action. And you'll see that this one right here at the top does say find all reminders. But if I then add another find reminders action, it's taking the output from the previous action, because this is all find all reminders where all of these are true. And then I can add a filter and I'll add a second filter, and then I can tap that all and change that to any. And so then I can say where the list is reminders or the list is groceries, for example. And then that will allow me to stack that bit of information. And then you could put it together with something like Widget Pack to make a pretty widget for your home screen if you like, or just save that information somewhere useful.
Nice. All right. And then we'll move into feedback and questions before we round things out with app caps. Doug writes in, good afternoon. Love your show. I am visually impaired. Many of the stoplights in town have audible feedback, but not all. Today, while visiting my wife in the hospital, I decided to go for a cup of coffee, which meant I had to cross a busy street at a stoplight. I was surprised to find no audible feedback. This got me thinking that there must be an iPhone app that would tell me what color the stoplight is. I've looked and looked, but I don't see anything. Do either of you know of such an app or method to accomplish this? Thank you, Doug. Doug, I am so glad you wrote in. The one I will talk about to kick things off is one that I have used before and that I suggest everyone who is sighted and everyone who has low or no vision download. And it is called Be My Eyes. It's available for free for everyone who wants to download it. And it is a video chat app. And I actually just got a notification a couple of days ago for someone who wanted some assistance. Essentially, sighted users can sign up for it and become volunteers who say, hey, a person with low or no vision can reach out to me when they want to and ask me for assistance. And so what happens is you and many other people who are volunteers will get a notification all at once. And the first person to answer is the person who helps out the person who needs it. And it connects over video, and you have a video call where the person can ask you a question or ask you questions and be able to give, in my case, someone was asking about the color of a shirt and if it went with some pants, for example. And so I was able to provide feedback on that. In the past, I was asked to just read some text on these different containers and help the person out with that. So Be My Eyes is the one that I'm most familiar with and would help in this situation. The one thing, of course, is that it is a video call. So you would need to have signal in that area in order to be able to do this and be able to reach out to somebody. But I just love this app. It's available on Android and it's available in the Google Play Store and on the App Store. And I think if you are sighted and if you have downtime during the day, get this app and volunteer to help people out. It's a cool feeling to get to do that. And it also is just wonderful that these kinds of services are available. And Rosemary, you found some other options as well.
I did indeed. And I've played with these a little bit on my iPhone. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to install them on my iPad, but there are a couple of free apps on the App Store which may be useful to you, Doug. Though I would also recommend perhaps letting the town planners or whoever it is in that area know that there is no audible feedback and that's quite dangerous, because I personally feel that all stoplights should have audible feedback. But the first one is Right Here, Blind Assistant, which says that it's for the blind and visually impaired. And it's a virtual accessibility assistant that's designed to help you orient yourself in a new or casual environment. And so there are two modes. There's outdoor mode and there's indoor mode. Outdoor mode gets your physical location, gets nearby points of interest, or can help you get nearby points of interest by pointing your phone around. it can list right here enabled locations near you, which will hopefully have sensors and so on installed to help you find things more easily. And it's also got, and this is the part that I feel is probably going to be most useful for you, a lens, which uses object recognition tools to help you with your daily needs. And I would personally count stoplights as part of your daily needs because, you should be able to see these things. There's also an indoor mode where there's a call feature, again, the lens feature, there's web things, and then other similar items. And it does have a direction and navigation feature too, which is quite cool, where it should be able to use sound effects, or it uses sound effects to help you know what direction you're walking towards and whether or not you're on or off course, which of course, depending on your level of vision, you may or may not need. But for anybody else who's looking for something, then that might be a good option. The next one is called I, and as in like an eyeball, I, and then the letter C and U, the word you, all together. So I'm really sorry about the terrible name of that for the App Store, but we'll have links to all of these in the show notes. And this one is, again, an app that uses your camera to help you recognize things. It's got face detection and recognition, which ties into the photo gallery, which is quite cool. And it also has very explicitly a repeat button so that you can easily have something be repeated back to you. And what I thought is quite cool is it has clothing, accessory, and makeup detection, which allows you to detect everything from ties and hats to jewelry and lipstick, which I could imagine might be useful if you are getting set up in a new location, such as a hotel, and you want to be able to make sure that you're putting all the right things in all the right places. Or similar. This one doesn't explicitly have support for stoplights, but I did take a walk earlier today down to some traffic lights, and it seemed to work for me there. So I'll cross my fingers that it does that for you. But the final one is called My Eyes Computer Vision for the Blind. And that, again, is all about recognizing things in the environment through your camera and telling you what it sees. So hopefully one of these apps will help you. And also, hopefully, somebody actually goes and fixes that stoplight so that you have that audible feedback that, quite frankly, it's good for everybody, not just those people who don't have the ability to see that stoplight. Everybody should just have the ability to get that feedback.
All right. And with that, we come to our app caps. This is the part of the show where we wear caps atop our heads to honor our app picks of the week. These are the apps or gadgets, actually, that we enjoy, that we want to share with all of you. And in order to enjoy and share those with all of you, we put caps atop our head and do a little dance. So let's kick things off. Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the cap atop your head, and then tell us about your pick of the week.
Well, the cap atop my head, not so much a cap, more of a headband, but it's got ears and a unicorn horn because it's a unicorn horn headband, basically. It's got some little flowers on it and everything. It's a lovely silver horn with silver ears with little pink felt inside them. And they are slightly glittery, but they're not the kind of glitter that sheds. So I've not had to put hairspray on these, which is good. But I saw this the other day, and a friend of mine who is a professional unicorn, that's literally her job, she's a professional unicorn, is having a hard time. And I saw it and it immediately reminded me of her. So I had to buy it to honor her. So I'm wearing a unicorn horn today. But my app cap is one that is perhaps very niche, but our app caps are always something that's just useful or interesting for us. And it is called SiteSucker. And the point of SiteSucker is basically, if you have times where you may have poor internet connection or no internet connection, it will download entire websites to your iPhone or your iPad. There is a separate Mac version that's available as well that can do the same thing. And so that you have that there, which can be really, really useful if, for example, you know that you're going to be going on a plane and you want to play with this cool new app, but they don't have an in-app manual. And so you have to download it, you have to go onto the website and read it on the website. Well, just download the website and take it with you. And then, you can do whatever it is you like. So I'll just show folks, it doesn't look super exciting when you first open it. In fact, it's very simple, but I appreciate its simplicity. So to download a website, you can pop something in, and I'll just pop in a website that I know works really well for this, because this is exactly what I used it for to start with, which is the Drafts app scripting site. So I'll just pop in their URL, and tap the in my case, it's .co.uk, but if I then tap and hold, it changes to .com. And then I tap done, and then it goes ahead and it's downloading things. Now, depending on the size of the website and everything, it may take a while. But as those of you who are watching, you'll see it's already done. It's downloaded all 66 pages of that website instantly. And it will not include them in the iCloud backup by default. That would just take up a large amount of space. But I can see in my downloads under SiteSucker that scripting.getdrafts.com has its own little folder. And then if I open it, then I can see the website, and I can browse around, and I can go to various different things on the website, and it all works. And so I have that information wherever I want to be or wherever I am. And one thing that I thought was pretty cool is if you switch into dark mode and you're on a website that supports dark mode, and I'm now not remembering whether or not that website supports dark mode, but certainly it will change the in-app browser. And so if the website does support it, it does that, but it does support light and dark mode. It also has a great thumbnail view, which can be quite useful if the app has got or the website has got a useful icon. Now, there are a huge number of preferences that you can set up and enable. So you can go through based on like checking every link in a URL, whether or not it should be limited to just the URLs on the host that you download, or we also download subdomains. So for example, if I downloaded getdrafts.com and I allow subdomains, it can get scripting.getdrafts.com for me, which is really cool. It has all kinds of preferences and everything. I won't go into detail on that. The best thing to do, honestly, if you're looking for this, is to check out the manual and have a play and just see. But honestly, this app is such a great saver if you know that you're going to have a poor internet connection or no internet connection for a while, or you just want an offline copy of something. Then, why not take advantage with SiteSucker? The app icon and the app don't look that beautiful, nor does his website. But you know what? He's put all of his development skills into the functionality, and I love how great this is. It works really, really, really well. And I'm just really pleased with it. So yeah. Thank you to Rick, the developer of that. It's $4.99 on the App Store to download, $4.99 separately for the macOS application. But they are great and work. So I will give them 10 out of 10. Mikah, what's your app cap today?
It's called SiteSucker. It's available for just kidding. It's just such a cool app. I want it. So the cap atop my head is my mustard cap. It looks like a bottle of mustard that you would squeeze onto things. And folks, I really need to use that keyword search thing that I talked about earlier to do an Amazon search for some new hats, because I'm all out of them.
I should have worn my hot dog hat again, Mikah. Then we could have just been the team.
Yes.
Like we managed it with the purple and the green coordination. I should have known that it would have been the mustard with the hot dog, and that would have been perfect.
That's all right. That's all right. I honestly, I thought about reaching out to you, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. She's probably got a great cap. So the one that I want to talk about, I can't show it personally because I don't have a child account on my account, but I have heard good things about this. And I have also recommended it to some family friends who have used very invasive means of parental control stuff on iPhones and iPads in the past, because those were the tools that were available, not because they wanted to be invasive, but because they were the tools that were available. There's a new app/service that's out called grace-app.com. And this service uses Apple's actual Screen Time API, which is a set of tools that developers can use to do all sorts of things where screen time is involved, including limiting someone's access to certain types of apps, limiting access to certain websites, blocking in-app purchases, maybe after a period of time, adding device schedules, all sorts of stuff that Screen Time can do. Apple made it possible for third-party developers to leverage that technology. And what's odd is that not many developers have. In fact, TechCrunch says that Grace is the first app to actually make use of the screen time APIs, but it works like those other parental apps that are out there, those apps that are meant to help you keep a hold and a handle on your child or whomever else you might be taking care of, keep a hold or a handle on their usage without having to do mobile device management, which is where you have to install these special profiles and settings in order for people to be able to control the device. And at that level, it is concerning because that you don't know about where that data might be sold, who's seeing that data, what they're doing with it. It can get kind of gross, in fact. And so Grace is trying to do that without sacrificing privacy. And it is really cool how easy it works because as long as you have a family set up in your iCloud account, then you can use this with, again, a child's account. So it has daily time limits. It has flexible scheduling that you can set. So, if you've got different days that require different schedules, locking a device or pausing a device temporarily, even with just a quick tap, then that iPad could be locked. It blocks a bunch of sites automatically with built-in web filters, but then you can also set up any specific filters for websites, for apps, certain categories, also app time limits. So again, it's a lot of the stuff that's available inside of screen time, but it's made simpler for folks to be able to use, and does have some other stuff as well. You can go as far as to block app installations and just set up all sorts of nitty gritty little details for exactly how you want your child's device to be used. It's only $20 a year for Grace, so I think a very good price. And again, the fact that it is privacy minded and uses Apple's own API means you're going to get a great system, and you're not going to have to do that complicated thing of figuring out how to install MDM profiles and figure all of that stuff out. So if you are in the market for a parental control app that is privacy focused and that uses Apple's built-in tools, and lets you kind of easily iterate on them, then check out Grace. Again, $19.99 a year for Grace. All right, folks, with that, we have reached the end of this episode of iOS Today. If you have thoughts, feedback, questions, concerns, shortcuts, corner requests, etc., you can send those to iostoday@twit.tv, iostoday@twit.tv. We record the show live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So you can tune in twit.tv/live to check us out while we're recording the show. We think the best way to get at those is by going to twit.tv/iOS. When you go there, you will see links to subscribe to audio or video. You just click subscribe to audio, click subscribe to video, surprise, surprise, and you'll find different services that you can use to get the show. So Pocket Casts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all the places. We try to be in all of those places as well. If you would like to get all of our shows ad-free, yes, the complete ad-free experience, well, we've got a way for you to do that. You head to twit.tv/clubtwit. For $7 a month, you get every single Twit show with no ads. So that's sort of custom feeds for all of those shows that don't have ads. And you get access to the the Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else. Super awesome. There's lots of stuff behind the scenes, before the show, after the show, and special events in the members only, Discord server. So that is a place where you can go to chat with your fellow Club Twit members. Also, those of us here at Twit are there. Rosemary is very active in the Club Twit Discord. Again, twit.tv/clubtwit, $7 a month. And we also have an annual plan. So if you just kind of want to get that out of the way right away, it's very easy to do. The annual subscription is $84 a year. Excuse me. And what's pretty awesome about that is we've taken a look at the other clubs that are out there with Memberful. Their annual plans can be pretty pricey. Ours goes in at $84 for a whole year of all of your favorite Twitch shows, and maybe some you haven't even heard before. now would be the time to check those out. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and check out all the great work you're doing, where should they go to do so?
Well, the best place is rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to all the things I do around the internet. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at Rosemary Orchard or in the club Twitch chat room. I am in the IRC while we're recording, but it can be a bit tricky to keep an eye on that. And I definitely don't catch up afterwards. I don't have that set up. Mikah, where can people find you?
You can find me online at Mikah Sargent on many a social media network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. Check me out later this week on, there's chihuahua.coffee. Check me out later this week on Tech News Weekly. I will be hosting the show solo again this week, as well as on Saturdays for The Tech Guy with Leo Laporte, the radio show heard around the world where we take your tech questions and answer them for you. Lots of fun hanging out with Leo on Saturdays for The Tech Guy. And pretty soon he will be taking, not flight, but taking, setting sail, because I can't think of what it would be for taking paddle. Anyway, he's going on a cruise, folks. Some of you are going to be on that cruise in a couple of weeks. That's the 16th is the start of his time being gone and going to the cruise place. So I will be hosting The Tech Guy on my own, which will be a really interesting experience. So anyway, check that out when we get to that. In the meantime, it is time to say goodbye. I hope that you got all you needed in terms of using and finding Safari extensions to make the most of your browsing experience. Tell us about your favorite Safari extensions, iOS Today at twit.tv. Thank you. And thank you, Rosemary Orchard. We will be back. Will we or will I be back next week? I forget which week you're
We'll be back next week. And then the week afterwards, it will be you with a special surprise guest for our lovely listeners.
All right. Thank you, Rosemary. And goodbye, listeners. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, editor of Ad Astra Magazine. And each week I'm joined by Tarek Malik, the editor-in-chief over at space.com. in our new This Week in Space podcast. Every Friday, Tarek and I take a deep dive into the stories that define the new space age. What's NASA up to? When will Americans once again set foot on the moon? And how about those samples from the Perseverance rover? When are those coming home? What the heck has Elon Musk done now? In addition to all the latest and greatest in space exploration, we'll take an occasional look at bits of spaceflight history that you probably never heard of, and all with an eye towards having a good time along the way. Check us out on your favorite podcatcher.